If more students like you and I became more interested in sort of just taking initiative and doing something for the good of society, I think is something I would like to see. Anything is possible if you believe in yourself and have the passion to do it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, So She Can Speak. We're so happy and excited to have a guest on today's episode. I'm your host, Alyssa Monteagudo, and I'll have our guests for today introduce themselves.
Okay, so hello, I'm Natalie Magness. I'm a Malaysian 17-year-old living in Qatar, and I've just graduated from high school. And I'll be attending university in the UK starting this September to study the human sciences.
Very exciting. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Natalie. Could you please share a little bit more about yourself and your story?
Sure, of course. So I've grown up in Qatar my entire life. So I moved here when I was 4, and growing up here has exposed me to such a multitude of cultures and backgrounds because Qatar is such a diverse place with people from pretty much every nationality. So that has definitely shaped me into who I am and made me really appreciate the process of connecting with others and breaking down barriers of different cultures or languages. So that's one aspect of myself that I think is a really big part of my identity. Another part is I'm a musician, so I play the piano. I played it for many years of my life, and of course, I'm very much passionate about classical music and listening to music in general. And my two other big parts of my identity, I guess, are my two organizations. So one of them is Thesapien, and the other one is the Qatar Youth Power Conference.
Great, thank you. Can you tell us a bit more about some of your passions and interests?
Sure, of course. So, in addition to those, I'm also really passionate about basically just using my privilege and my position of being financially stable and not having had any sort of struggles or hardships in my life in order to help others and use what my skills and abilities and my resources in order to uplift others and empower others. So I'm involved with other organizations in Qatar. For instance, I'm a youth advocate for education above all, because I'm very much passionate about fighting for education for more people around the world, because I believe that is not a privilege and it's a right for all. In addition, I'm an ambassador for several organizations for Doha debates, and also for the ASEAN Youth Organization, because as a Malaysian, I also want to use my citizenship as a sort of platform in order to impact more people. And so that's just a bit of what else I do in a nutshell. But I think the two biggest things which I'm involved in are the aforementioned organizations that I founded.
Well, that's great to hear, coming from a standpoint of understanding that you have privilege and working towards helping others who might not. That's something that's really amazing and something very reflective that you're doing. Can you tell us a bit more about Thesapien and the Qatar Youth Conference, which you founded both of those?
Sure, of course. So Thesapien is this youth organization that I founded last year in August 2020. And it's basically this international youth organization that is dedicated to uniting students all over the world in a shared passion for learning and meaningful discussion through hosting discussions on the human-centered. So what we do is every Saturday we sit down together on a Zoom session, and we discuss and have interactive conversations on different issues which are concerning humanity and society. So this ranges from anything like philosophical questions to societal issues that are currently plaguing our world. So it's a really broad range, and so there's always anything there for everyone. And what we do is, because we're on Zoom completely, and a lot of organizations sometimes see that as a negative because, of course, the pandemic has made a lot of people obviously move online. But I think that's the thing which makes us special, because we're able to reach people from all over the world. And the fact that people bring so many different diverse perspectives from their own backgrounds and experiences to the table and to our conversations makes it so eye-opening. And the experience of people who may have not lived in those countries or met people from those countries, meeting online and having these really interesting discussions is something which I and also the participants have really enjoyed and treasured. So that's a bit of what we do in a nutshell. And initially, I guess as opposed to a lot of other success stories you hear online of other people who, let's say, within a week or a month, they've reached huge heights with their organizations and reach so many people on Instagram followers and already like really going with their progress. I think for mine, it really taught me the importance of being patient and pushing through, because for about 4 months, we had virtually no progress. And it was at the beginning really difficult to find that motivation to continue when it didn't look like many people were interested. But then after speaking to more and also back then it was only myself and I didn't have a team with me. But after speaking to more people, I realized that there are people who do believe in what we're capable of and our potential. So after pushing through for a while and bringing some more people on the team, we were able to bring it to brand new heights, which I could have only dreamed of last year. So, and now we've reached, I think, about over 30 countries with people not only from those countries, but physically there, like living there. In addition, we've reached about 150 plus individual participants who join our sessions, a lot of them like return ones. So that, of course, means they're really much enjoying our sessions. In addition, we've also had more than 20 sessions. We've also been bringing in guest speakers for some of them to share their expertise if they're experienced in that field. And so, yeah, that's just a bit of some of our milestones and achievements over the months. But I think that just founding that really taught me so many important lessons that I were then later to use in founding the Qatar Youth Power Conference and all my other involvements.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. You're doing such amazing things, and I really like how you brought up the point of the key of patience. You know, a lot of times when we hear about these people doing really big things, it seems like they're always being successful, but that really isn't reality. So I really like how you touched on that. What inspired you to start Thesapien and the Qatar Youth Conference?
So for Thesapien, I think my inspiration stemmed from the fact that I was really passionate about interested about the degree I was applying for university at the time, which was the human sciences, which I'm now pursuing. And basically what that degree is an interdisciplinary course combining biology and the social sciences to study humans and societies. So we would study everything from the life sciences like genetics and physiology to the social sciences like anthropology, sociology, and all focus on us as a species and our society as a whole. But the problem was that around me, I didn't really have that group of people who was really interested in talking about things like this or exploring these passions with me. And there was no one really applying for a similar degree that I was friends with or in my circle. So the desire to connect with more people who were like-minded like myself drove me to find them drove me to get the idea that maybe I could find them online, because that was around the time, the height of the pandemic, at least in Qatar, and there were obviously lockdown in place and restrictions. And so that's why I thought possibly I could find them online. And that's how I thought of the Zoom aspect and how it ultimately led to the fact that we can reach people from all over the world. So there's my inspiration for that. And for the Qatar Youth Power Conference, I'll just give a bit of like background to what it is first. So it's basically the first and only student-initiated conference in Qatar to develop, connect, and empower the youth of Qatar to positively impact their communities through learning from the nation's brightest changemakers. So what we did was organize this 2-day online event, bringing together the nation's biggest and most high-profile innovators, changemakers, leaders in a whole range of fields, in a series of workshops and interactive sessions, panel discussions, and all of that, for the students and youth of Qatar, to give them that platform to learn directly from the people they admire and are inspired by. And basically my inspiration for that was because around April this year, I was in my room, like just scrolling around online, looking for different online events I could attend and conferences and things, because a lot of them were online because the pandemic was still really difficult in a lot of countries. And so I realized the number that were online but the fact was that all of them were based in other countries. Like a lot of them were in the US or the UK, and none of them were really based here in Qatar, and none of the conferences here were founded and put together by students, and they're mainly by other organizations who just came and did that for us. So I thought, because there's this gap here in this environment, possibly I could fill that. And so I spoke to a bunch of friends if they were interested in putting it together with me. And after 2 months, we were able to garner enough guest speakers and partners and sponsors in order to create it and make it a reality. So that's a bit about the Qatar Youth Power Conference.
Yeah, that sounds great, and really amazing that you took that initiative to do that. You saw a need in your country and decided to take charge of that. So I think that's super amazing. Personally, what would you say your biggest accomplishment is so far?
I think my biggest accomplishment, I mean, to the outsider may not sound very big or amazing, but I think it's the fact that I learned to believe in myself and what I'm capable of doing. Because prior to all of this, probably maybe 13, 14 months ago, just over a year ago, besides maybe doing a bit of piano stuff and maybe being good at academics, there wasn't really much I was doing. And I didn't think I was the kind of person to do this sort of thing at all. I always thought it was for the other people and that I was not one of them. But after just believing that with my passion, I could, and hard work, I could take Thesapien or whatever it is that I was passionate about forward and bringing it to new heights. Just believing that I could possibly try and do that really changed my outlook on everything, and realized that so much is possible if you just believe in yourself, as cringy as that sounds, because it really is more powerful than you'd think, because the only person stopping you from doing all of that is yourself. Because for instance, like the Qatar Youth Power Conference, we at the beginning, we were all very daunted by the fact that we were trying to bring these people who were nationally very famous and would only do events for payment of a lot of money, and would only do them for obviously big brands and events. So we were completely lost in how we could possibly get these people. But with a bit of hard work and asking around and connections, we were able to do just that. And so that's why I think after, especially the conference, it really taught me that if you put your heart and soul into something and you just believe that it could work, it probably can. So I think that's my biggest achievement, just learning to be confident in what I'm able to do and where that could take me.
Yes, I love that. So many times you think these really materialistic or very tangible accomplishments, but I love how you mentioned that believing in yourself was one of your biggest, because that is something that I think everyone struggles with in a sense, and overcoming that is really big. So thank you for sharing. In your opinion, what challenges have you come across in creating your projects or in starting them or going through them? Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge for both of them, and I think still for anything I start and embark on, is the fact that because it's sort of uncharted waters, and I've never done it before, maybe my circle or my family and friends haven't, the idea of just stepping into the unknown and not really knowing what you're meant to do is a challenge, but at the same time is really invigorating, because once you figure out how to do it, it's the greatest feeling. For instance, last year I had to learn how to, this is, a smaller example, but I had to learn how to put together a website with like a website builder. I can't code, but with just a simple website builder, I had to learn how to do that myself. And even just something as small as that, of course, I didn't really have anyone to ask, and so that was a challenge definitely at times. But then with the help, obviously, of the internet and some really helpful and supportive people that I could find online or elsewhere, I was then able to do that. And so I think while it is a challenge, it's really rewarding when you're able to overcome that. And so, for instance, a couple of months ago, I had to write some sponsorship proposals for the conference to reach out to some real big companies here. And obviously, there are not many like teenagers would know how to do such a thing, and I didn't either, and none of the people in my team did. But I think this is linking sort of back to the thing I was talking about earlier about just believing in yourself and sort of taking a fake it till you make it attitude, but then eventually you won't need to fake it anymore, because then you'll learn how to do those things and realize that it is not that difficult once you try it. So I think that the challenge for all of this is the unknown and not knowing where to start, but in the end it's totally worth it.
Yeah, sounds great. For you, what plans and goals do you have for the future?
I think goals and plans, well, I don't really have a defined occupation or dream job yet, which is why I chose the human sciences, because it's such a broad course and it really allows me to go into so many different fields, and that's what I love about it. So I'll probably hopefully know by second or third year, but what I do want to have in whatever career field I go into is something where it can use like my abilities or resources in order to help others, and in particularly for education, but it pretty much is open to any humanitarian issues or problems facing society, because of course human sciences is definitely linked with us as humans, and so I hope to be able to use what I learned from the degree in order to help others. That's like the main core of what I would like, but I'm still undecided on the specifics of it for now.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you could see any change being made in the world, what would you like to see?
I think it's not that not so much like a big societal change where everyone suddenly like boycott something or anything like that. What I would like to see is if more students like you and I became more interested in sort of just taking initiative and doing something for the good of society, I think is something I would like to see. And I think because although it may sound a bit small compared to maybe answers like, oh, I want the world to have no more wars or no more hunger or no more disease or things like that, I think the first step is for students like you and I and other high schoolers to become more interested in helping others. And so because of that, they'll be able to take action for those issues in the world. And so it's just sort of taking a more indirect approach, but I think it's more sustainable in the end because people actually care about these things and want to make a change.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that is also something super important that people don't really think of right away. But I think definitely through the pandemic, I've seen so many different students take on different initiatives. It's been really inspiring and great to see. So I'm really glad to see that in our youth today. And then finally, our last question for you is, what advice do you have for other youth who want to start a big project?
I think my biggest piece of advice is it sort of links back to a few things I've mentioned previously, but I think it's that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and have the passion to do it and you care about it. That those two things, just hard work and passion, because and I think it's something that a lot of us should realize that although we're young and we're youth and we're students, there is so much that we can do and we're actually capable of. Contrary to what other people may say that, oh, for instance, reaching out for sponsorships is not, it's not our job, it's for other people, or doing this sort of thing, it was wait till you're older or wait till you study for the degree first. No, I think there's no better time than now. And if you care enough about it and you're willing to put in the work, you can definitely achieve anything, no matter how big or small.
Yes, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for being on today's episode. That is the end of today's episode of So She Can Speak. Before we go, do you want to share some of your social channels for the Thesapien Qatar Youth Power Conference?
Sure, of course. I would love for all of the listeners to go check us out and maybe get involved with us. So I think we are most active on Instagram for both of them. So for the Thesapien, it's just at Thesapien_org. And for Qatar Youth Power Conference, it is at Qatar Youth Power, and no underscores or anything for that.
Well, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube, all the links to their socials will be in our description. Make sure to subscribe to Thesapien YouTube channel, like this video, and comment down below your thoughts. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, Natalie. It was so great getting to speak with you and hear your insight. You're doing such amazing things, and I wish nothing but the best for you in your future. Can't wait to see what else you accomplish.
Thank you so much for your time and invitation.